everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Pillage for you as we take a look at the expansion factions here under the PDF The East, which is adding 3 more factions to the game. So the first one is the Kyivan Rus, and here is basically an East Slavic state, for those who don't know the background, founded by the Varangians, which existed between the late 9th and mid-13th centuries, and basically centrally located in Kiev until it fell to the Mongols. So, and interesting faction, just because it's kind of this, as it says here, this weird mix of Slavs and Vikings as they kind of assimilated together. And they reigned over the Rus until the 11th century and also formed part of the Byzantine Emperor's Varangian Guard, which we'll get to as another faction here as well. So this list lets you play the Rus or the Varangian Guard as you prefer. Notably here, Harald Hardrada. So definitely many videos on his history. So what little we know here from these guys specifically. So they mostly fought on foot, did travel on horseback a little bit before dismounting to fight, and basically all your typical weapons: swords, axes, spears, javelins, bows, and Dane axes. The Varangians in particular were also known as the axe bearers and axe-wielding barbarians, whose Dane axes spread much terror, especially among the Byzantines. As for protection, the usual, lenticular shields or round shields, mail or lamellar, or scale armor, and later on they used hauberks, which are long mail shirts originally intended for cavalry. So then here, the Dane axe again was their iconic weapon, and the long axe was occasionally misglossed by the Greeks as rhomphaia. So the Rus and Varangians don't strike last with their Dane axes, so kind of giving them the Huscarl rule. They fight simultaneously with this weapon even when they haven't charged, which is very powerful, right? Basically getting them to at least swing at the same time as everyone else and hopefully cause damage before they get taken out, should they have normally had to wait. They can also equip themselves, unlike pretty much the other factions, with 2 hand weapons, so it does give them an extra attack, so all-out attack basically, but a -1 penalty to their defense rolls. So ideally use that in situations where you can at least team up with other parts of your force, or have like a spear wielder attached to you for their bonuses with that. So and if you do carry 2 hand weapons, can't have a shield or a ranged weapon, so it's a fair trade-off. They also have the special ability Hedge of Spears, so quite a bit more than the other factions here as far as rules go. So basically the same way as a shield wall, except with spears. So the warriors in the Hedge of Spears inflict a -1 penalty to their enemies' rolls to hit, and this can stack with spear support too. So as it says, a Hedge of Spears can be combined with a shield wall. In this case, the 2 effects stack. You get the defensive bonus from the shield wall and the penalty to enemy rolls to hit, and then every figure in the wall must be equipped with a shield and a spear, though, so keep that in mind. But nonetheless, pretty potent combo ability there. And they do have their own unique talent here: loyal to the Emperor, so for 25 gold. Rus and Varangian warriors were often employed by the Emperor in Constantinople. Your army is therefore part of the Emperor's Varangian Guard, so you don't need to make a morale check when your chieftain leaves the field. So yet another super strong ability for the Rus here, right? Well worth the 25 points should things go sour and the chief does get taken out or otherwise exits the battlefield. You don't have to make that morale check, which could be pretty devastating for forces in some cases. So we get quite a bit here, right? We get the Dane axe special rule. They can also go 2 hand weapons, and then they essentially get an upgraded shield wall, and then for a small points investment here, they get a pretty kick-ass talent as well. So let's jump in and take a look at them. So no special access though, so no Huscarls, of course, no healers, and no wagons. So the first faction we've seen, I think, without the healer. They do get access to the Berserker though, kind of like the Vikings, so really hefty points cost though. So in a small game, maybe 1, but larger games, right, maybe you can afford an extra 1, but 80 gold, right, so more than twice the cost of your chieftain. Of course, we know what Berserkers do. Check our Viking video there, but good stuff there. So armor wise, they're getting pretty much the cheap end of armor, not having to pay anything fancy for that. Improvised weapons are free too. Spears are cheap, right, at the 5 point level. Hand weapons are fairly pricey at 15, so a little bit more than I think 10 being kind of the rough average. But again, they can also go with 2, and again, no shield or ranged weapon there, but you'd be paying twice for that extra attack, right? You got to buy 2 hand weapons. Dane Axe sitting at 30, so again, fairly pricey at the cost of essentially 3 blank warriors, but given their bonus with that, also very potent. They do pay a fair bit for slings, actually, considering how low tech it is, so might not be the option you go for. Javelins at 15 and bows at 30. I imagine really be more focused on hand to hand with these guys, maybe a little bit of ranged, just depending on what you prefer there. And now, interestingly enough, they do still have access to horses. They do get the banner and the war horn. No war happens. But that access to the horses is really what's going to separate them from the Viking list, among other things, and give them a little bit more dimension and flexibility in battles, especially given certain scenarios. So, all in all, the Kyivan Rus are super powerful. Right, we're getting 1, 2, 3 faction abilities, unlike most other factions getting 1. Right, a very relevant talent, minimal investment for that. We do get also access to the Berserker, so just like the Vikings, we have that. We are paying through the roof for it, but still a powerful option. And with our weapon loadouts, right, we can go with Dane Axes without penalty as far as when we swing, and if we want to double up on points, we can get 2 hand weapons at the cost of defense. But we also have the upgraded shield wall, which presents all kinds of interesting tactics that we could employ in combination with different units here in gear, and then still the cavalry on top of it all, just to again provide that flexibility and mobility. So let us know, guys, if you've collected a Rus faction for Pillage, and have you played against it or with it, and how that's gone for you. Do you think they are balanced, or do you think they're a little too good? Hit us up in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe as well, and we'll have more Pillage for you soon.